Game 1 on Daybreak.
And here we go. We are in Game 1 of our second match here in Group A of the WCS Season 1 Final.
This music is so epic.
It is.
I am so pumped right now.
And
here we go.
Here we go indeed. The Blue Zerg on Daybreak. Here at the 7 o'clock position will be Team Liquid's TLO. And of course, there he is. And the Red Zerg, Evil Geniuses, Stephano, spawning at that 1 o'clock position.
You know, Team Liquid and Evil Geniuses are kind of like the Horde and Alliance in Warcraft. Traditionally, they're always fighting each other, but every once in a while they join together to fight a common foe. Just like in Pro League right now, EGTL, that's like when the Alliance and the Horde got together to like fight the Lich King, you know, and all that. But now we're like a little bit farther ahead in the story, and the Horde and the Alliance are battling again. So we've got an example of that, a skirmish, if you will.
I mean, it would have been like that
Daybreak
in WoW if the Lich King had won, I guess.
Well, if the Lich King had won, everyone would just be skeletons, basically.
Well,
generally how it goes. So, guys, we've got a little bit of we've got a pool first for Stephano. Looks like we're going to have TLO throw down that hatchery. So a tiny bit of variation in the openings right now, but shouldn't make a really, really big impact. Going to be kind of waiting to see who gets gas first, or who gets gas when, really, because a lot of times, if you end up in a situation with when your Zergling speed is going to be a little bit quicker, you can use that to your advantage. You can get a lot of scouting done. You can maybe pick off a drone or two. And so that's kind of usually the big sort of defining factor. But right now, TLO with that slightly better economy from the hatch first.
Well, we're just in a holding pattern right now. Again, these guys' stats not very indicative of how this matchup's going to go so far. Not a lot of sample size in Heart of the Swarm, and 0 ZVZ matches played from each of these gentlemen so far in WCS.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot of question marks and not a lot of research materials, too, for either of these guys on their opponent.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that these are the types of players that they probably practice together a little bit, honestly. I mean, they certainly probably know each other's styles fairly well. TLO, definitely the type of player to have a lot of crazy builds planned, but lately as well has been such a solid standard player in all of his matchups, while Stephano, just very good control. He can play that standard style, but he has that extra sort of flair of amazing play that kind of goes with it and makes him one of the best. Stephano asking for a pause here, so we're going to do that. Get whatever it needs fixing fixed, and then we're going to continue into this game. So we saw both players get gas at around the same time. Now TLO, because he went hatch first, he's going to need to get that Baneling Nest early on to kind of stay safe. We're probably going to see it from Stephano as well. So far, everything looking pretty normal for the ZVZ. Not a whole lot to talk about, honestly, and we'll see what's up with Stephano. And we're waiting to hear from the producers what that was, but didn't hear it. Okay, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. All we know is that Ilias just needs a little bit of time, so it's all good.
That's right. Well, we'll get this fixed right now. Now, we did see TLO getting just a very slight advantage with having that gas down first, so he may pop that Zergling speed just a little bit faster. Stephano is ready right now, so sounds like the issue
they're ready to go.
Has been fixed.
All right, and we should get the game started in just a moment, guys.
Sorry about that brief delay.
Yeah, well, these things happen. I mean, when you've got so many players cycling through the booths, all the setup time, all the little equipment tweaks that you need to play at the top level, I mean, there's going to be little issues here and there, where one player will forget a setting, or there will be something that's just a little bit off that needs fixed. But whatever it was, looks like it wasn't too serious, and we are back in the game.
Absolutely. Well, TLO's natural is up and mining now. He's got that Zergling speed started. And Stephano holding out and droning for the moment.
Yeah, they're both going to pretty much just be droning for a little while. It really is kind of like a game of chicken at the moment. It's like, who's going to keep going with the economy until it's time to attack, and if you call it wrong, if you start making those Zerglings a little bit too late, you might lose everything at your natural. So at this point in ZVZ, it's a bit tense. And you can see there's overlords on both sides of the map in position to watch for Zerglings to come out. There's that Baneling nest for Stephano, actually a little bit earlier than TLO. I'm actually a little bit surprised about that. Generally, with Hatch first, traditionally you get the Baneling nest fairly early on just to make sure that you are able to survive. But he has been droning really hard. He really hasn't had the resources to throw down that building just yet. Only now kind of having the gas, but
well,
we'll
TLO opting for a big round of Zerglings right as speed finishes instead.
Yeah.
To see what his plan is. Going in perhaps for a little bit of harassment, but that Baneling nest got to be down.
Yep.
For Stephano by the time he reaches his opponent.
Pushing the queens away as well, trying to deny that scouting. A couple Zerglings there at the same time, so Stephano is going to see this stuff coming. A little bit supply blocked right now, and I'm pretty sure did he not have the Xel'Naga tower? He may not. Okay, the Zerglings ran right underneath an Overlord after that, so he definitely knows it's coming. Baneling's already on the way. I don't know. TLO's going to have some pretty amazing control to get some damage done with this.
And here he goes, right into the main right now. A little bit of a Zergling battle happening on the ramp. TLO backing off, and it doesn't look like much is going to come of this. A few Banelings picking off, and TLO's first offensive has been stuffed by Stephano.
Yeah, no issues there for Stephano to get rid of that. TLO's just going to respond by taking a quick third. And just going to try to macro and get some defensive Zerglings as well for himself while we've got a lair going up for Stephano.
Stephano has a huge round of Zerglings popping right now. TLO responding in kind.
It may be a little bit dangerous for TLO to go for that third right after losing a lot of larva and stuff.
And here we go. The attack on the third is commencing. Stephano will more than likely force the cancel here.
You know, one kind of nice thing a little bit for TLO is we see, is he going to get a lot of lings with this? Not quite. And this third's in big trouble, guys.
It is indeed. He's attacking the Morphling Banelings. However, there's still a few Banelings for TLO and Stephano both. A very tense micro battle as they ring around the hatchery.
Yeah, Stephano's just got too much stuff here. TLO lets the hatchery finish, though. He really wants this. Loses a lot of Zerglings.
Baneling hit right there, but TLO looks like he's going to be able to keep his hatchery up. Yeah. He pushes it off for now.
Well, Stephano taking his own third, and I mean, he's done a decent amount of damage to the building. He can come back in and maybe finish that a little bit later on. And he also didn't want to go overboard, too. You know, I mean, if you use everything you make on your attack, then suddenly you have to use more larvae at home to remake units for defensive purposes instead of more drones. And more action in the middle of the map here. TLO morphing in some Banelings. Stephano trying to stop it.
And will he get him? He's managed to pick off a couple so far and loses the Zerglings as the morph completes.
Yeah, now TLO's still a little bit heavier, or a little bit higher on supply. Stephano's used a lot to try to do damage here, and TLO putting his own pressure on the third now. This is such a back and forth game.
And there we go, the Baneling trying to zone out some of these Zerglings before they can get down to that third base. He's focusing down the hatchery right now. It's getting very low.
He may lose his hatchery, but behind this, Stephano saving up for rounds of mutas. Will he be able to do it, though? There goes the hatch.
And here we go, the Zergling dead into the natural right now, though, trying to do some damage. He's focusing down the Spire.
He needs to kill that Spire. He doesn't have any defense right now. The Spire certainly is. Oh, the Banelings! Can he save the Spire? Can he do it? It's got.
He does! He saves it!
Man.
In the meantime, Stephano counterattacking right now at the third base. More Zerglings running in. They will finally be able to take down that Spire. It does get canceled. He's trying to dodge the Banelings right now. Stephano rebuilding his Spire as fast as he can.
Yeah, now 1-1 is getting ever closer for TLO, and that's going to make a pretty big difference here. That means that a Baneling cannot kill a Zergling in one hit then. And that's pretty huge when it's Zergling-Baneling wars. TLO still a little bit ahead on supply. Stephano's still going for that Spire, but he's having to spend so much defending.
And TLO also critically keeping that third base upright, whereas he killed Stephano's third. He's trying to go and find that third base one more time, looping around from the bottom to go after that hatchery right after it starts
dead
construction.
Again. It has to get canceled here.
He's got to be careful, though. That hatchery doesn't have a lot of life, and here comes some Banelings from Stephano. He's going to try and take out that third.
Yep, he's going to go for it. Trying to just defend that as best he can. He's going to get maybe a couple
Baneling hit.
Not quite. Not quite as many drones as I thought he'd be able to do it. TLO coming in now with a force of his own.
And here come a lot of TLO's Banelings. He's trying to break in right here. Stephano nearly finished that Spire for the second time.
Taking out that That's, well, Spine Crawler. Suddenly I forgot the name of it there. Stephano on the ropes now at this point. He's down to 2 bases again. The Spire finishes.
And the choice will be Infestation Pit for TLO right after he finishes that layer. So a little bit of a difference here. First Mutalisk up. We do see Stephano has a lot of gas, but it'll still be GG.
You know, Stephano had all those resources saved up for Mutas, but he knew that with losing everything he was at the natural, losing the third, he wasn't able to, he wasn't going to have any sort of sustaining after the initial round of Mutas, and that just wasn't going to be enough against TLO's 3-base economy. A win for Liquid TLO here in Game 1.
Very, very fun, CBC. Those attacks and counterattacks. That game was really balanced on the razor's edge there for a while as both players went after the third. But that Spire snipe was brilliant by TLO.
TLO played really well. And I mean, Stephano certainly did take a risk by trying to go for a Spire amid all of that Zergling Baneling aggression. By going for that Spire, you're kind of saying, well, I hope I'm not going to have to spend so much on Lings and Banelings because I need to save up these resources for those Mutas. You really need to have a third as well because you're going to need to have all that gas to consistently make a lot of Mutalisks and go into that late game, finally start adding on upgrades and things like that. And TLO just said no to that one, man. He just shut it down.
And what happens when TLO says no? He gets a win. So
Stephano's got to go.
That's right. He will be heading into our second map, Neo Planet S, with that 1-0 victory.
Lobby chat, Stephano saying, well played. I didn't mean to say GG, but I had to. Yeah. Oh, these guys, man. Stephano and TLO have been like best buds since they got here. They've been hanging out pretty much all day yesterday. And so a lot of fun being had here too, but still serious competition, man. I mean, but the thing is does either one of these guys really want to play Sulky in the next match? It's a daunting task for the winner here, but it's easier to go on from the winner's side, certainly. So Neo Planet S loading up.
Absolutely. Well, we are heading into game right now, guys. Game 2, Group A, Stephano versus TLO.
And here we are. The map, Neo Planet S.
And we'll keep the same colors this time, so your blue Zerg will once again be Team Liquid's the little one. And there he is. On your screen, gracing your eyeballs, and on Neo Planet S, up at that 2 o'clock position, it will be the red Zerg, Stephano, representing Evil Geniuses.
Man, I gotta say, TLO is kind of like the poster child for hard work pays off. This guy, you know, we talked about before, anyone who's been around since the very beginning of StarCraft who knows that he was big in beta, very creative player, but and he spent a lot of time in Korea as well, played in some of the very first seasons of GSL and everything. So he has been around playing at a high level for a long time, but just has never been able to get those big tournament wins that he's been wanting to on the big stage, and he has not given up. He's set a lot of lofty goals for himself, but he's been meeting him. And it's so impressive to see him back to Korea for the WCS Season 1 finals. I'm really glad to see this guy here.
Absolutely. Well, bit of a slow start from both of these guys so far, so nothing tricky going to be happening this game.
Yeah.
And Neo Planet S, this is the first time we've had this map in the WCS here in Korea. It was not in our normal map pool.
Yeah, it was not in WCS in the regular season. It's been used in Pro League for quite a while, so the Korean players certainly have a lot of experience on it. It's a pretty good map. I do enjoy it. It's a little bit it's one of our bigger maps that we have right now. One of the few maps with gold bases remaining as well. Very rare thing these days in StarCraft 2. So we do have pool first for both players, neither one wanting to take that chance of hatch first. And they're going to go ahead and both expand fairly soon afterwards. So identical builds right now, basically, for both players.
You know, one of the weird features of this map is that a lot of times we see those base race scenarios because it's because of the way the map is laid out. If one person goes around the top and one person goes around the bottom, you end up sometimes with those base races here.
That can certainly happen, too. And I mean, a lot of times if you see an attack at a third on Neo Planet S, it's going to mean that there's going to be something coming around the other side from the other player if you're getting away with it. So, yeah, you really need to be map aware on this map. And there are, no Xel'Naga towers on this map as well. There's no easy ways to get a lot of vision. You need to be out there with units. You need to be attentive to the minimap.
Absolutely. Well, we're just sitting tight here, waiting for one of these players to make their moves. We haven't seen any real differentiation in these builds so far.
Yeah.
Just perfect mirrors. in this mirror matchup.
You know, with that win in Game 1, TLO's Heart of the Swarm ZVZ has improved to 11-6, which is pretty good overall. I mean, for a mirror matchup like that, that's a fairly high percentage to have for a win rate, especially a match like ZVZ that can be so volatile. I mean, even the best ZVZers out there seldom break 60%. And while we don't have a lot of games to really draw from, being, 17 games deep in a ZVZ and Heart of the Swarm and having that record is pretty good, pretty respectable.
It is indeed, and TLO's overall record in Heart of the Swarm, 50-28 at 64%, is very solid.
Oh, yeah.
Very solid. I think that's really indicative of his rise so far in the WCS, and this year, 2013 has just been very good for TLO.
Absolutely. Now on the Stephano side of things, for ZVZ, and there's a Baneling Nest going down, just for, you kind of want to have the Baneling Nest generally. I mean, it's if you go hatch first, you don't need it technically, I guess, but you're taking a huge risk if you don't get it. But as far as Stephano's ZVZ goes, he's now 2-4. So definitely hitting a bit of a hard stretch as far as ZVZ goes. But again, that's only 6 games. It's nearly nothing. He could still easily come back and take this series, but he's going to need to have some good play, man. I mean, it's hard to fake out TLO.
Oh, well, here comes Stephano with some Zergling. Speed is about to pop for him. TLO is going to have to wait quite some time. He does really only have that one Spine Crawler for defense right now. There's the speed finishing. And, of course, that Baneling Nest done as well. So Roach Warren going to be the choice for TLO, but he's got to buy some time first.
That's the thing, is that TLO really does not want those Zergs to get into the main, and so Stephano, not going to scout that actually, doesn't know that this Roach Warren is on the way yet, and that may be a nice little trump card for TLO. We'll have to see if he just wants to go all in with this. He's banked a lot of gas right now. He's got his Roach Warren nearly finished. Doesn't really have all the minerals to make a ton of roaches. Now just starting to save up. Yeah, he's going to have enough.
Well, the first roach is coming out. Stephano streaking across the map. He has made a big round of Zergling, so he's trying to see what kind of pressure he can put on Queens, and Zergling's going to go ahead and block off that ramp. TLO still needs more time for these roaches to get out.
Baneling Nest going down for TLO as well, too, so he is just straight up going Roach, Baneling. Stephano getting his Roach Warren as well as the +1 missile attacks, but that's actually a lucky break for Stephano. If he was going to keep all this Ling Baneling aggression onto TLO and TLO defends it, there's no way he can hold Roach Baneling at that point. But Stephano deciding to play for a little bit of the longer game, and that may be his saving grace against this Roach Warren that he doesn't quite know about yet.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks like he has sensed it, however, and he will have that upgrade edge at least for a little bit right now. TLO not going for it, but TLO pushing out with the roaches. Now, Stephano knows what's coming.
Yeah, he certainly does. Oh, he finds the Banelings as well. Roach is defending the morphing now. It's morphin' time.
It's mighty morphin' time for TLO.
Yep.
As he heads up. Now, he gets some more cancellations right there. These roaches quite slow at the moment. He's got to be a little careful, a little bit wary of these counterattacks. These roaches getting surrounded, but not quite enough Zerglings in order to deal with it. And he continues his march across the map, but Stephano has a good roach force of his own to defend it right now.
Well, Stephano just wanted to delay this as much as he could, and he did successfully delay it until his Roach Warren is out. And his +1 missile tax is going to finish very soon. +1 carapace not too far afterwards. I think Stephano's in great shape with this, but that's a lot of Banelings coming in for TLO. Good SimCity for Stephano, but it really all comes down to how TLO executes this attack. Can he do it?
And Stephano's still trying to buy time for his upgrades as well. They are nearing completion, and that'll be a pretty big advantage. There we go. A couple roaches in the front to absorb. Baneling gets Banelings coming in from both players. A huge explosion will take down the Spine Crawler. More Banelings trying to find hits on these roaches, on these queens. They will get the angle they want, but Stephano has a pretty darn good concave right now, and he looks like he's going to be able to chase TLO out of his base.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've got that defender's advantage in ZVZ as well, where you're going to have the reinforcements much quicker. The French fans in the audience cheering like crazy. They're happy to see Stephano push back TLO. TLO trying to soften up those roaches, but just not enough. There's the GG, the all-in, unsuccessful, and we are moving on to Game 3 between TLO and Stephano.
Very exciting stuff right there. Another close one, but TLO's all-in not working, and Stephano buying time really helped him out. He was able to get those 1-1 upgrades at the end as well, so there was really not a lot of hope for TLO to bounce
He
back.
played
in
that
one.
beautifully for not knowing that it was coming, for seeing this as it comes across the map, sending out a few roaches, a few zerglings to just slow it down, to just give himself time to get out the roaches, because he knew with his SimCity, if he get out the roaches, then that would be his ticket to defending until his upgrades were done. And once the upgrades were finished, he was in great shape. Also, that Baneling hit at the start, man. That was huge.
Vive la France.
Yeah. Oh, somebody not too happy.
The
fans
TLO fans.
That's right.
An audience divided.
And an audience divided.
Here at Youngside.
They will not stand. Well, they'll sit because they're in the audience. So Stephano, concentrating a bit, moving into game 3. It will be Belshir Vestige. And it's all on the line. Whoever wins this, they do, win, which is nice. But they have to go on and face Solkey, which is maybe not quite as nice. The loser goes on to face Alive. And we do have a good amount of foreign fans in the audience today. Pretty cool stuff. And here we go, guys. The countdown about to begin. It has begun. Game 3, TLO versus Stephano. Team Liquid versus EG. I'm so excited, dude. I have to try to save my voice. It's a long weekend, but I'm so excited.
It's a long weekend, an epic weekend of StarCraft here at the WCS season finals as we head into the third and deciding game of our second set in Group A. The Foreigners going head-to-head on Belshir Vestige. And there's TLO, the blue Zerg player, spawning at that 10 o'clock position. And Stephano from Evil Geniuses, the red Zerg, at 4 o'clock.
Yep. So, good news is, no 6 pools. I do like that. And so
I don't know. I'm always up for a 6-pool, though.
I prefer the longer games. It's fun to see. All-ins, very skillful all-ins are cool, but I like the macro games. So, if we look at Belshir Vestige, it's another 2-player map. It's been all 2-player maps actually for these guys so far in the ZVZ.